Today on CJ Off-Road, I'm going to show you how to install an awesome intercooler on our Raptor to help cool down that compressed air. If you're tired of your Raptor's performance and you want to do some upgrades to your turbo, you're going to want to look at this COBB intercooler setup. This is COBB's front mount intercooler for your 2017 to 2019 Ford Raptor. It includes all the pieces to mount it in place. There are some slight modifications you have to do to get this in place. When installing the COBB intercooler, you'll need the V3 tuner to delete the shutter valves on the Raptor. This COBB intercooler comes in black or silver coating, so let me show you how to install it on our 2017 Raptor. Alright, to install this COBB intercooler, it's going to be a little bit different than the factory intercooler that we have on the Raptor. For this one, we have to remove the whole grille assembly, the whole bumper, so let's get started under the hood. Alright, we're going to start by removing this panel. You got to remove all these clips, so grab yourself a trim panel removal tool. Let's get started. Get all these little guys out. All you do is just pull the pin up, and it'll pop right off. And there you go. Boop. The two on the air scoop are different. They're just like a Christmas tree style, so all you have to do is just pry up, pull all the way out. There you go. Once you have all your clips out, just grab the middle. And we have to slightly pull these covers out to get this grill assembly out. So there's a push pin clip, and then you're going to slowly grab and just pull this out. Clip. Watch it shoot at me. And then slowly grab the cover, not to damage it, and just give it a good tug. It'll pop off the clip, go for the bottom. And there we go. Repeat the same process on the other side. All right, now we have to remove the bolts on the grill. There's one 8mm bolt here, one on the passenger side, and then 4 on top. Grab that. There we go. Repeat the same process on the other side. Let's move on to the top. All right, there's 2 plugs in the camera sprayer we have to remove. So just grab the clip, push it in, slide right off. Same for the camera. And then for the sprayer, all you have to do is remove this black clip and it'll pop right off. Remove them off the Christmas tree, off the grill. Now we can remove our grill. Once you have all the hardware off your grill, all you have to do is grab the grill at the bottom, lift up a little bit, and then it'll pull right off. What am I doing? Oh, George got it here. As you guys can see, we have an aftermarket ADD steel bumper. For you guys with a factory bumper, you have to remove your skid plate, remove your factory bumper, so then we can access the intercooler. Let me just get this bumper out of the way so we can keep going forward. All right, so I have Ryan, our camera guy, and me on the ground to remove this factory intercooler. So we're gonna start by removing the hoses, get the fan plug undone, get this hose off, and then remove the whole assembly. Take a flat plate, remove these clamps. Two up. For the plug, all you do is you just squeeze it, pops right off. For the bypass hose, just twist it, pops right off. For the big hose, there's a clip that you have to remove. Just push it up, spin it right off, and it'll slide right off. Grab a 13mm socket, and then we can remove this bracket. Remove the 2 bolts. Remember to hold it, it will fall down. Remember to unplug your bypass. There we go. And then just wiggle the whole assembly out. No more low mount intercooler. The next things we have to remove is the 3-inch coupler right here, the factory intercooler bracket, and the shutter system. So just grab a flat blade, loosen this. This will be a little snug, so you just have to give it a wiggle for a bit and pops right out. Okay, let's move up top again and get these other brackets off. Okay, we're gonna unplug the shutter system. So go to the passenger side, right behind the headlight. Just unplug it, pop it off the frame. Let's get the bolts out. There's 4 8mm bolts to remove the shutter system, 2 on top and 2 in the front. Once you have the bolts out, just lift up, pull it out of the way. To remove the top intercooler bracket, there's a 13mm bolt on the passenger side and on the driver's side. Okay guys, this is the bypass valve hose. It's really hard for me to show you inside the engine bay where this is located and get a camera in there. It's located on the driver's side. All you have to do is quarter turn and it pops right off. All right, this is COBB's lower bracket for the intercooler. It's pretty stout, pretty hefty. What we're gonna do is mount it right here in the factory bolt locations. We do have to trim a little bit on this material to make this fit right. Before I install this brace, I wanna talk about these little brackets. COBB includes these to hold the bumper braces. But since we have an aftermarket bumper, we do not need these little brackets. All right, so we're gonna put this brace in loosely just to see what we need to trim out. Get into place, put 1 bolt in for now. As you can see, the rubber mat's getting bound up by the brace, so we're gonna trim out a little bit here and then get this thing bolted in. Once you have that trimmed out, let's install our brace. Tighten it down with the factory hardware. All right guys, so I have the intercooler in place. It's not ready to be installed. We have to actually trace out this rubber mat to cut those out for the new openings for the intercooler. So while this is in place, just take a scribe or pick, circle around where the piping is gonna be so we can trim it out. Once you have it traced, take out the intercooler and cut out the holes. All right guys, now you see we just cut out those holes to get this intercooler in place. Let's get this top mount bracket on. All right, so this is the COBB upper mount intercooler bracket. This will mount on the hood latch assembly. We have to remove this, take this cable out, get this whole assembly put back in, and let's get it on. Before I remove this, I'm gonna trace it out so I know exactly where this is located. Just take a pick, trace around it. Unplug this wire, take these 2 bolts out, and let's get this cable off. To remove the plug, just push the button in, slide it out, then get these 2 bolts off. We have to remove the hood latch cable because the cable goes through the new brace. All you have to do is take a pair of needle nose pliers, squeeze the clip, and then just get the cable out from through the bracket. There we go. Grab your factory intercooler grommets, slide them on the intercooler. Slide your bracket into place. Grab the hood latch cable, slide it through the bracket. Now we can reinstall the hood latch. So the hood latch cable gets tucked through here and through here to pull this whole assembly. So we're just gonna slide the cable back in, slide the cable through and hook it back onto this latch. Plug your hood latch back in, then line it back up and let's bolt it down. This is what you always expect out of COBB. Good solid brackets. As you can see, this thing ain't going anywhere. So let's get these pipes on and let's get this thing done. All right, so there's one more thing we need off this intercooler before we can pitch it. We need this valve. It's an 8mm bolt. Take this off and then pitch this stupid thing. Once you get the bolt out, turn it counterclockwise, and then it'll slide right off. This is one of COBB's new charge pipes for the bypass valve. All you have to do is just slide it in. If I can find it. There we go. Okay, I put it in wrong, so we'll try it again. Get it in. There we go. That looks a lot better. Grab the supply bolt. Put a washer on the bottom. And a nut. Tighten that down, and let's get this installed. This is the factory Bpv valve. We need these two connectors to install on the new COBB hose. All we're gonna do is just take a knife, cut down here, pop this out, and then install it on here. If there's any damage on the O-ring, COBB supplies new O-ring. Just pull it out, put the new one in. Let's get it installed. Slide a hose clamp onto the hose. Slide the connector all the way on, then tighten it down. All right, so we're gonna start by installing the COBB Y pipe on the passenger side. Slide a hose clamp on. Slide it onto the intercooler first. Then take two more hose clamps, slide it onto the Y pipe by the charge pipes. And then slide your charge pipes in. This will take a little bit of time because it's a rigid coupler. So just work with it, it'll get in there. Once you have this all in place, then tighten it down. Okay, let's move on to the driver's side. Before installing the new pipe on the driver's side, we have to remove this rubber coupler. So loosen the hose clamp. There we go. Install the straight adapter on the big hose. Slide all the way on, and then install the hose clamp. Grab the purge valve piping, put a hose clamp onto it, and then slide it into the coupler. Grab the 45-degree one, slide it onto the intercooler, then slide it into the pipe. Once you have the couplers in place and it's nicely placed, got a good connection everywhere, tighten all your hose clamps down. Once you have all the piping done, grab the fan delete plug, just clip it in, lock it down, and then just tie it out of the way. We'll not be using the fans anymore. This is the shutter valve and the blow-off valve harness. I just took it off the old shutter valve system. We're just gonna plug it in, and then we're gonna tie the rest of the harness away. With the shutter valve, they give you a plug. You just slide it in here to delete it. Finish off, plug the rest of the harness back into the frame, and then get this all tied up nicely. All right, so the last thing we have to do is put the hose back on the diverter valve. Slide it up there. We got it clicked into the intake pipe, and then just click it on to this pipe. Make sure it's tight, then you're good to go. Let's move back up top. All right, everybody, we're almost at the home stretch of getting this thing back up and running. Last thing we have to do is remove the shutter valves on this grill. As you can see, we have a light bar in the grill. We will have to remove that since it will not fit with the intercooler. All right, so we're gonna remove the bolts to hold the shutters in, the 10mm. Sometimes the nut doesn't come off, it comes off the whole assembly, which is sometimes easier. Once you have all the bolts out or loosened, remove these clips. There's 4 of them. Just pop it. There's one more sneaky bolt. It's an 8mm bolt right here in the middle. Get that out, and there we go, it's all loose. Once you have it loose, slide the wiring connector off. You gotta get all the wiring loose. Unplug the camera, slide the wiring out. And there you go. All right, now that we have the shutter assembly off the grill, we actually have to cut this whole shutter assembly off to make it fit. So we're gonna start by removing the motor, getting these shutter blades off, and then start trimming around. There's a clip up here that holds the motor in that's already broken. And this bottom one, you just push in, put your fingernail behind it, and it'll pop right out. And there's a couple more on the bag. You gotta get this brace off, pop that, go down the line. Once you have the brace off, just take a screwdriver, pry up, and it'll pop right out. Then you can remove the rest of the shutters. Yeah, it's a lot of shit. All right, now that we have everything disassembled, we actually have to cut this center piece out. So we're gonna cut it right across this line, then cut it across right here. After you have it all cut, just make sure it all fits. All right, see it all works, everything's clean, so we're gonna just file down these edges, bolt this back on the grill, and let's get this grill installed. Since we cut the shutter assembly out, there's no spot for the ambient air temperature, but actually COBB already thought about that. So they made a bracket on the intercooler, you just click it into place, and then you're done. So what we'll do is, get it close, slide the center into place, clicks right in, slide your grill, and there we go. I'm happy we went with the silver coating intercooler, just so you can see right behind that grill, you got that massive intercooler to cool down this truck. So the last part is plug these wires in. You got another cap for the shutter valves. Plug your harness in, plug in the camera sprayer, clip those in. COBB says you can actually plug the shutter valve motors back in and tie them up if you don't want to tune the vehicle. But I would actually recommend tuning the vehicle so you can get a full advantage out of your Raptor. Reinstall the 8mm bolt at the bottom of the grill. Repeat the same process on the other side. Reinstall your headlight covers. It'll take a little bit to get back into place, but they'll click in. Reinstall the clip, reinstall the 4 10mm bolts. Reinstall your grill cover and your push pin clips. Once you have your whole grill assembly all put back together, reinstall your bumper, your skid plate, close the hood, and then you're done. All right guys, my hand's dirty, I'm a little tired, but man, the process of doing this intercooler is well worth it. You get substantially more colder air to your throttle body, really cools down that boosted air to get more performance out of your Raptor. I would definitely recommend doing a tune with this intercooler. If you want to learn more about the tuner, click the link below. If you want to learn more about this COBB intercooler and many other great parts, go to cjponyparts.com. Have fun and keep on building.